Do you want to learn more about gratitude? From learning to appreciate the little moments to expressing thanks to those who matter most. Gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a habit, a mindset, and a way of life. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's begin this journey together, because gratitude isn't just something we give, it's something that gives back. Welcome back to another episode of the Inside the Orange podcast. And this week we are saying thank you with gratitude. And that is the topic we're going to be talking about. We are going to be kind of exploring the ways that we say thank you in ourselves and to others. As ever though, before we get into the episode today, just a reminder that you can follow us on our social media channels, which we will be providing a link to in just a few seconds. And if you have missed anything at all in the first episodes that we've brought to you in this new season of the Inside the Orange podcast, you can use the playlist to go back and have a look, including last week's episode on nutrition. So here's how you can get in touch with the podcast and some links and how to follow us. At the Inside the Orange podcast, we're about creating positive change through organisation, reading, activity, nutrition, gratitude and engagement. And you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram at Inside the Orange, on X at Orange Watts, and the Inside the Orange podcast on Facebook. We want you to reach out and help build the community. So yes, this week again, I was joined by my amazing friend Kip as we talked about gratitude, and we looked at some different ways that we can bring that into our lives. Gratitude is something that can be quite challenging, it seems, but we're kind of going to break it down today in why we think it's a lot simpler than we may think. So one of the big areas that for me, and I think my life got better, was when I learned to say thank you. And it was really, really apparent when I was doing the charity walks, when people were donating, when people were wishing me luck on social media, that they were coming to me and saying good luck. And it was important to me that I responded to those messages, said thank you. And I think I've tried to link that into work as well. I've tried to say thank you more for things people might not think of really big things, but actually they've helped me move on. And I've got Kip back on the show today. So Kip, as we continue to walk through the first of the 6 segments we're going to go through, we did start talking about gratitude. And I explained to him that I wanted to say thank you. And he pointed out quite well that actually we need to start by saying thank you to ourselves as well. So Kip, welcome back, obviously. Why was it important that you wanted to point that out to me, that we have to start with us when we're saying thank you?
Just because I think there's so much negative talk around these days, with comparison, stuff like that from social media. There's a lot of people who do a lot of negative self-talk, and I think it's about loving yourself, isn't it? You start there, and you've got to love yourself before you can love other people, and kind of that direction, really, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, there is just so much from that sentence you just said there that I really feel related to. I think
we all do, don't we? We all negative self-talk at times.
Yeah.
It's one of them things, but yeah, I think there's a lot more of it these days in social media, and we compare ourselves to other people and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it starts with yourself and obviously bleeds into the rest of things. It's that sort of thing. I'll take a lot of flack for this because people are like, I'm quite direct and quite honest, and they keep thankful for stuff. But yeah, yeah.
I think you're right. And I think I listened to a Tony Robbins podcast not long ago, and it's as simple as waking up in the morning and thanking yourself for the day before. I read somewhere at a site I was at recently for work, and I read that you have got 100% track record for getting through bad days. But we never look back on that bad day and say to ourselves, thank you for keep going. Thank you for getting through that. So I think it really woke me up when you put, don't forget about yourself. And it's not just about self-appreciation and inflating egos or anything that we're not talking about that, are we? We're just saying, just take a minute to be proud of the person that you are and to kind of be thankful for where you are, what you've got in your world. And you're right, the social media aspect, we can compare ourselves to so many people and so many lives that we see online that, okay,
Highlight reels, yeah. People's highlight
absolutely.
reels.
People's highlight reels, absolutely. But it's about saying thank you. But again, it's making sure we draw a fine line because again, we've been there, we're talking there, and we're talking about individual thank you. And again, we don't want to have it that others are the problem. It's not about others being the problem. It's just being thankful to the people around you and not getting caught up too much in that highlight reel, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Just taking a few minutes each morning, each night, just to see what you're looking forward to that day, and then say it before you go to bed, what you've been thankful for that day, who you've been thankful for, and it's that phrase, isn't it? Not every day is good, but every day there's good in every day, kind of thing. It's finding that piece of goodness from that day and being thankful for it, and again, it makes a huge difference to people's mental state.
Mm. I think it's how you lead as well. I think you start looking for less competition, I suppose, when you look at it this way, when you're thankful, when you start to say, actually, there's enough again. And I put kind of some videos together and I've put a kind of introduction video about gratitude and I've said there's enough for success for everyone. And I know it will possibly get trolled by people saying, oh, it's all well and good saying that. Well, actually, if that's you're coming into that mentality of saying, do you know what, it's not going to work, it isn't going to work, is it? It's almost like you've got if you're facing negativity, if you're focused on the negative, if you're thinking why it's not going to work, it won't work, will it, for you? It won't personally work for you. It's about taking that time to being aware from what we can receive. And like we said, we talked about books and the information we've got from that books. You had to pick up that book to get that information out, to take yourself further, to get that knowledge. When do you ever thank yourself for taking that time to read the book and not watch the latest next Netflix series or go on a rabbit and watch the next series and the next series? Why don't we give ourselves enough gratitude, do you think? Why do we not thank others? What do you feel is the barrier?
It's just modern day life, isn't it? It's like I say, it's social media, and it's not always easy to remember to thank people and give gratitude, isn't it? So I'm not saying it's something you can do every day, but it's something we should definitely strive to do, and it does make a big difference.
And it's important, again, from someone myself battling depression. If I had some people around me at the time saying, thank you, thank you for your time, or thank you for what you've done, or thank you for helping me my day, it would help me, I think, if I'd have heard it more. So I think it's about embracing that culture. And I think sometimes it's something, again, we're not very good at being British. I think there's a lot more culture in it. In other cultures, we might see a lot more gratitude of thanks in religion, in however that might come across as gratitude. But we seem to have this staunch thing of not feeling weak, I
The
suppose.
lip kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, we're almost too self-centered, I suppose, about it. Do you feel that's fair?
I think it's definitely a fair point, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I suppose, the one thing that, as I say, I look back when I built the six, I built every single word of I've done it. Of course, I've not done that. But what made me gratitude was how easy it came in. And again, I didn't have to think long about the six segments and go, what could G be? Oh, I thought around it. I just thought about what made me happy.
I think journaling, this is where journaling comes into things. Journaling's a big factor in helping me with gratitude and being thankful for what's happened that day, or someone who's, it can be like as simple as, I know it's a bit of cliche now, but you get a cup of coffee from someone, you just smile at them and say thank you. It's just simple stuff, isn't it? It's not hard. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
It's not always easy. Everyone has a bad day, but it's reflection, isn't it? It's
Mm.
once you've had that day, reflect back on what could I have done better today, what can I be thankful for, and it helps going into the next day.
And something I've kind of really challenged myself for a lot is we have to make complaints sometimes. We have to say where something hasn't been the service we've received, or however it is, in life. I'm sure you've made a complaint at some point in your life, Kim.
Me?
But I always make sure if it's a call center or someone I'm talking to, another human being at the end of that call, no matter what call situation is, thanking them for their support, thanking them for taking the time to talk to me, because we can be rude and we could be hot, but that's another human being you're talking to at the end of the day, whose purpose in their employment and whatever that is to try and support you too. And
Even constructive criticism can be gratitude. You know what I mean? I'd rather someone tell me if I'm doing something wrong than not tell me. I'd be thankful for that. I think you're the same, and I've trained you with stuff before, and I'm always honest with you. I think you'd much appreciate me be that way than sugarcoat stuff, because you're not gonna grow, you're not gonna gain anything from. So it's being grateful for even constructive criticism.
And we've used that word a lot, and I've heard it much more around businesses now, the word critical friend, or words critical friend. And I think, as I say, when we've got someone in our life who you can turn around and say, do you know what? This is what it is. You've been for that for the podcast for years. Now, don't get me wrong, you weren't pulling things apart. You were just going, this is an idea, I like this, and it was both constructive and helpful. And what that has helped us do is that we can also have conversations probably about most things in life, and because we're coming from a place of kindness and wanting the other person to succeed, we've actually given each other that constructive criticism in lots of different ways over the years that we've known each other, haven't we?
Absolutely, yeah.
And despite the fact we're not in the same location, we do still get on, I'd like to say. I think we are still friends. Kip, your silence is deafening.
That's just me, you know me.
But yeah, we are, as I say, we are good friends. But it has helped having that critical friend, that kind of ability to do that. And
I think we balance each other out quite well, don't we? Because I'm quite direct like that, and whereas you're a bit more soft. And I think we do make a good pair. We balance each other out quite well, I think, and that's why we work as a partnership.
absolutely. Although I'm a little bit crying inside being called soft.
Well,
No, I know. And it is. We look at things very differently.
softer, not soft, softer than me.
We look at things in life, and as I say, yes, we do. We give each other feedback, and we do, we try and do it the right way for the other person. And again, we've talked about insights, we've talked about different personality types. We share some of the same personality types, and we're very different in lots of ways. But it's about how you manage that, isn't it? And as I said, I'm grateful for you to be doing this podcast, and I'm grateful that you've got so much that you can give others. And again, grateful for the books we've read, grateful for the advice on nutrition, grateful for all the other aspects that link in to the 6 segments. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. How can people get involved with gratitude? Gratitude's quite a tough one. We're not asking people to write in and say thank you for us for a podcast. It's not about that. It's not about that at all. But we want people to break those barriers of gratitude. We want to say thank you. We want our guests that come on to embrace or engage with the people that may have they know through the podcast. If they've been engaged with someone that they've heard through us, we want them to engage. We want that level of gratitude, and we want, we'll be thanking every guest. We've got guests
I'd
on.
say the two most easy steps are journaling and reflection.
Absolutely.
Two
Yeah.
things that are quite easy to do.
Absolutely. And yes, reflection is such a key one. And yeah, it is. It's about looking back actually and saying, how did this go? But really, really keen to talk about gratitude. And again, I think it is something that more and more people are focusing on. And I think that's why it's going to help improve that and make that positive change for others.
100%.
So thank you for listening to today's episode on gratitude. We hope you have took a lot away from it. We will be back next week at Friday at 5 p.m, where we are going to be talking about the last segment, which is engagement. If you have missed any of the intros into the segments so far over the last few weeks, you will find them on the Inside the Orange playlist, which is available on YouTube, Spotify, or where you do listen to this podcast. Coming up will be the links of how you can get in touch with the show and find us in other aspects of our social media. We look forward to seeing you next week. As I say, we'll be back at 5 o'clock on Friday, and we look forward to, in the near future, bringing you more stuff from the podcast, including some amazing interviews with some people who are using the segments in their life that we're going to be talking about. For now, though, the information of how to get in touch will follow, and we will be back next week at 5. So until then, goodbye and take care. At the Inside the Orange podcast, we're about creating positive change through organisation, reading, activity, nutrition, gratitude, and engagement. And you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram at Inside the Orange, on X at OrangeWatts, and the Inside the Orange podcast on Facebook. We want you to reach out and help build the community.